We'll be talking about soil values launch in a moment, but
I have a little comment here regarding something that we spoke about at the beginning of the program. Ugochukwu Iwu says, "Una no dey tire. How many identification are we going to have in this country? Anyways, it's just another means to loot." Now, well done, no. Me neither.
Okay, now let's talk about soil values launch. What does that mean? Over the past 5 decades, the International Fertilizer Development Center has been a pioneer in promoting innovative and sustainable agricultural technologies that have transformed the lives of millions of people around the world. Since 1974, the organization never stayed straight from its core mission of improving the livelihoods of small-scale farmers and agro-entrepreneurs in order to catalyze positive global change through the transformative potential of agriculture. Of course, over the years, IFDC, that's International Fertilizer Development Center, has implemented these technologies globally, helping more than 100 countries boost their agricultural productivity through training and development programs. Let's have this conversation this morning with Dr. Bijokazo Fofana, who is Program Director, Soil Values. Thank you for joining us this morning. They are both in our Abuja studio, along with Yusuf Dramani, Office Director, Nigeria. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Let's begin with you, Dr. Fofana. For those who are wondering what all of these means, please talk to us about the soil values launch.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Yes, soil value launch. The question is, what's the value of our soils? Of course, it looks like the soils have no value, actually, but we are using soils as medium to produce foods, right? And when you have a handful of soil, it's not a commodity that you can sell. So which is the opposite of when you have a handful of maize, that has a kind of monetary value. So along the way, we have been neglecting the functions of our soils as source of our food, okay? And then we have also something that we call spatial gap. When you pollute your soil on point E, and then you are also polluting the groundwater on point B, so nobody cares about the continuity of the groundwater by polluting point E, and we ignore that when you pollute by using too much fertilizer to your point E, you are also polluting point B. So along the way, soils have been neglected. And that is why the soil value is now trying to catalyze a transformation, okay? Aiming at, enticing, I would say, a systemic change towards really improving the soil health in a more sustainable way, and then make sure that the soil value, the soils will provide food that is needed for our food security. So the soil value launch aims to increase the awareness, first of all, of our 10 years programs, but at the same time, it aims at bringing all bilateral and strategic donor communities, to work on a coherent, effective, and efficient way of implementing the program. But in addition to that, we want to make sure that we bring all the donor communities together for leveraging towards, increasing additional funds, not only to support the implementation of the program within the Sahelian countries, but also to take the program at a larger scale beyond the Sahelian countries and even in Africa. Thank you very much.
Mr. Dramani, let us zero down to Nigeria. Where is your catchment area in Nigeria? What farmers, small holding farmers specifically, are you dealing with in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity to thank your viewers, cherished viewers. For us in RBC, I can maybe give you a little history about IBC, then zoom to Nigeria. So IBC is actually established in the United States in Moscow, Alabama in 1974, and then became a public international organization signed by the then government of US, President of US, Jimmy Carter. And so in US, we enjoyed the immunities, the privileges, and exemptions under the International Organization Public Act. So in Nigeria, FDC was actually became operational in Nigeria in 2003. And in 2003, we supported the government of Nigeria in implementing the voucher program and implementing a number of programs and projects across Nigeria. So to answer your question, I can say that FDC has implemented programs and projects across almost all the states in Nigeria. Talking about the northern part, talking about the southern, southeast, all part, we've implemented a number of projects. So currently, as we speak, we have about 3 offices in Nigeria. We have the head office, which is in Abuja. In Nigeria, our main office is in Abuja. And also we have another office in Kano, and then also another office in Ibadan. Thank you very much.
Interesting. Perhaps it'll also be good because so many people would want to know if we've been in the country for so long and been doing so much, perhaps access might be an issue. What's been the feedback you've gotten from your beneficiaries over the years?
Yeah, so for us in IFDC, we especially started our presence in Nigeria at a time when agricultural input system in Nigeria was really not developed, and access to input was a major problem. So, for us in IFDC, we stand for 3 major things. One, we are both research and development organization. And under that, we stand for 3 things: develop better technologies, catalyze productivity, and also strengthen market. So as a result of that, we've been able to work with private sector, with farmers, and with the government of Nigeria, especially the Ministry of Agriculture, support them in coming up with technologies that will help farmers to improve their productivity, and also try to get what we call better markets for them. And working with the private sector, challenges faced by private sector is the quality of raw materials that they require to feed their factory, and that's the engine to feed their factory and to produce quality products for the citizenry has been a challenge. So we've worked with a number of private sectors and all that, and farmers, and try to improve their capabilities in meeting the market demand, and we've done that quite well. The recent evaluation that was conducted with the farmers indicate that FDC has been so instrumental. But of course, nothing goes easy. You definitely will not be able to meet all your required expectations. But of course, the fact remains that FDC has been the household name as far as areas where we work with, and as far as the government institutions that we work with and the private sector we work with. Thank you.
Okay, well, Dr. Fofana, as Mr. Dramani has said, there isn't any situation that will not come with its own challenges. The natural question some other people may want to ask you right now is, when we talk about agriculture, farming, herding and all of that in Nigeria, one of the first issues a good number of people think about is security or a lack of it. Has that been, how significant has that been in your work in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you very much. I think security, of course, has been and is still an issue, part of issues in our intervention strategy. So what we have been doing is that we have set up institutionally what we call adaptive management, okay, which consists mainly of, capacitating the national expertise in promoting climate smart, seed saving, water saving, and fertilizer savings technologies. So by capacitating the local partners, so we were able actually to delegate our interventions involving the local communities in implementing our technologies, okay? So in applying this adaptive management, we were able, even if we are not able to be in the locality, in the far remote communities in person, so we were able to capacitate the local communities, to implement the technologies on our behalf. But that is one component. The second component is we also try to develop platforms, knowledge transfer and development platforms, not only for research, but also for extension at community level, so that, we create a conducive environment for interactions, dialogue among the local communities for knowledge transfer, using also ITs, because we are now, the internet is there. So we are trying to use the new generation IT technologies to train farmers on remote and make sure that they will be able to implement the technologies on our behalf, even without our physical presence in the communities. So that is how we are operating as I'm talking now. And we are even trying also to develop modules that we are implementing on remotely to make sure that, we communicate effectively. As the communication is key. Even it can also affect our performance. So we are also putting a very strong emphasis on the quality of our communication, and then also improving the quality of, the message actually we want to convey to the communities, to make sure that we don't bias the content of the communication and then transfer the knowledge towards improving the performance of our technologies in collaboration with the local communities.
Yeah, staying with you, Dr. Fafana, you mentioned the use of IT. I want to imagine that most small-scale farmers in Nigeria are illiterate. So how well are you succeeding with the introduction of IT to their businesses?
Okay, thank you very much. Our strategic entry points are actually cooperatives. We don't work with individual farmers, but we work with cooperatives as rural institutions. And then when you have cooperatives, it means you have different bodies, right, within the cooperatives. And most of them are, of course, most of the members of cooperatives are illiterate, but there are those who are already literate. And we are using these high educated elements of the cooperative to transfer the knowledge. And there are those who are strickling down the knowledge to the local members who are not very well educated. So the use of IT is really directed to those people who can read and who can really digest the IT communication. And they are those who are going to cascade down actually the IT knowledge to the illiterate members of the cooperatives.
Interesting. You know, let me come back to Mr. Dramani on this one. I wanted to ask Dr. Fofana, but I can ask you, Mr. Dramani, as well. It's about soil values. And one of the things that I have seen in the work that you're doing is about the fertility of the soil. Maybe some feedback. What have you seen about the soil in the various parts of Nigeria that you have worked in terms of its fertility? I know you are all about fertilizer and the rest of that, but tell us what you have found about the fertility of Nigerian soil in the various communities where your cooperatives operate.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I answer the question, maybe I should also add something to what Fofana earlier said regarding security issues. One thing we understand over the years working in Nigeria and other parts of the world, not only in Nigeria, because RDC is present in a lot of countries. So we draw experiences from all these countries that we operate in. Is that they say the devil finds work for the idle hand. And so the point is that sometimes is employment, and that is what we've been working through all the projects and programs we implement, creating jobs, sustainable jobs for the youth, making the youth busy and concentrating on women as well. Because if you educate a woman, you educate a nation, and therefore making the women more productive and income secured means that their children will also get better education, better training, and get better directions. And this is the way we can go to ensure that we have maximum security in our part of the world. And FDC have been working tirelessly with this. Also, in terms of, for instance, even in Nigeria, when we work with dairy and livestock farmers and crop producers, sometimes you see agitation because of clashes here and there. And so what we've been working all along is to try and make sure that there's understanding, because the point is, if there's understanding and in whatever, with the people you are working with, clearly you're going to have a peaceful environment to work with. And therefore, we've worked extensively with the government institutions, through the ADPs, and through the ministries to ensure that at least there's a clear understanding and coexistence between the livestock farmers and the crop producers, and that in our catchment area. So for us, that is fine. In terms of ICT, we know that if people can't read, they can see. And so we develop videos that help farmers, to those who are illiterate, to also understand, know the practical part of what we're trying to teach. And that has worked well, especially when we implemented the trimming program. The government of Nigeria, through the Ministry of Water Resources, implemented the trimming program that is transforming irrigation management in Nigeria. And RDC is a consultant to the ministry by supporting the extension, the ADPs, in rolling out innovative technology to improve productivity of farmers around the irrigation schemes across the northern Nigeria. Okay. And one of the key technologies we deployed is introducing what we call the farmer field business schools, where we know majority of the farmers are illiterate, and the only way they can actually understand, adopt, and increase their productivity is when they really see the good part of what you are trying to teach them, to roll out. And so through the farmer field business schools, farmers have been put into clusters, and technology, ICT and others have been deployed to increase their understanding and adoption. So that to us has worked very well. So, and also to say that FDC is actually not just a fertilizer organization. I think sometimes there's that impression that because our name is International Fertilizer Organization, then it means that we are a fertilizer organization. Yes, of course, we have a lot of we have a lot of what called knowledge in fertilizer sector, and that is why during the onset in Nigeria, we at RDC help in developing in establishing FEPSTAN. FEPSTAN is Fertilizer Producer and Suppliers Association of Nigeria. RDC played an instrumental role in the formation of FEPSTAN and even in the formation of WAFA, that is West African Fertilizer Association. RDC is the lead organization that actually supported in establishment of this organization.
Okay, Mr. Dramani.
So for us, yes, when it comes to fertilizer,
Mr. Dramani, I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon. We're fast running out of time. You need to tell us about the launch before we go.
Okay.
The launch.
So for the launch, I'll allow my brother here to talk about it, and then
okay.
I'll
Dr. Fofana.
Yeah. Yes. Just let me address the issue of the soil fertility in our intervention zones. I think this is very, very critical.
Dr. Fofana, we don't
with the
have
effect
time.
of the global warming. Yeah, with the effect of the global warming, the soil organic carbon is really depleting, which also affect the fertility of our soil as such. So IFDC, being an international organization in improving soil fertility, we are really promoting the integrated soil fertility management.
Well,
right?
Mr. Fofana, perhaps we have
organics.
to, my sincere apologies if you can hear me, we really have to go now. I was thinking that maybe there was an event that was going to be a launch, and we just wanted you to tell us about that in 10 seconds.
Okay, very good. So the launch will take place in Fraser Suite, and it's going to be implemented during the 3 days. The first day is going to be devoted to the technical workshop, and the second day is going to be the key.
What date?
What are the dates, Dr. Fofana? What are the dates? Yes. From what day to what day will it happen?
From April 15 to 17.
Okay. All right. Well, and then is there a website? My apologies. Just a second. Is there a website that people can go to get more information?
Yeah. So for us in IFDC, we have our website. Okay. But then this is a consortium program, and so we've not actually published the launch.
Okay.
But then the case is that as far as this launch is concerned, it's a high-level launch where we are inviting the Honorable Vice President, Kasim Shettima. We're also inviting the Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Okay, well, I'm hoping, Mr. Dramani, just 1 second, my apologies, because we are completely out of time. I'm hoping that we'll be able to get some information out for people, maybe on social media platforms, so that they can be able to know more about Soil Values Launch. But for now, we have to thank you very much for your time this morning, Mr. Yusuf Dramani.
Just to add to that,
sincerely, we are completely out of time, gentlemen. My apologies. We are totally out of time. Yusuf Dramani is Office Director, Nigeria, and Dr. Bijokazo Fofana is Program Director, Soil Values. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we're back right after now to take on another issue of importance. To stay with us.